Hi, my name is Brian Layton. I'm a retired Navy EOD officer that did over 20 years in special operations. I had 6 combat deployments to both Iraq and Afghanistan, arguably doing the most dangerous job in the military, explosive ordnance disposal. In civilian terms, I was on the bomb squad. So after a few combat deployments, I was really starting to struggle. I couldn't develop any kind of emotional connection with anyone. My depression was starting to get worse and worse. I had a lot of anxiety, so I ended up starting some talk therapy. And that really just ended up being a venting session to me, and I didn't feel like a lot of the counselors were able to really connect with me. 2015, late in 2015, I had reached a point in my life where I was so incredibly depressed and I had no will to live anymore that I held a pistol to my head and seriously contemplated suicide. In 2016, I was selected for a 28-day program at Walter Reed Hospital to deal with TBI, traumatic brain injury, which I'd had repeated from blast exposure, from explosions, combatives, parachuting, riding and racing motorcycles, boxing, kickboxing, all that kind of stuff. That coupled with the PTSD really had put me in a dark place. That's though when I started my regimen of pills. By the time I left the service in March of 2020, right as COVID started, I was on 6 different meds. Sleep meds, depression meds. You know, the military put me on speed, on Adderall, just so I could focus. By the time all this happened, I had enough. Said I had reached out to one of my buddies who I knew was probably struggling also, and I was like, hey man, how things going? He goes, things are wonderful, things are great. And I was like, man, well, this guy's about ready to commit suicide because none of my buddies talk like this. And I was jokingly said, I'm like, man, what drugs are you on? Like, I want some of this. And he told me, Ibogaine and 5-MeO DMT. I had to come off of the 6 meds that the military had me on. Wow, was I an absolute asshole during that process. But I was bound and determined to go down and work with this medicine because guys that I really respected had got so much out of it. A few months later, I knew I still had work to do. The same gentleman that I had spoke to about plant medicine initially told me about another medicine called Kambo. And so 2 totally separate people, one that I had met at the dirt bike shop just randomly, and another was a friend of a friend in Salt Lake City, told me I needed to work with this one specific woman, Jen Jensen. About a month or so later, Jen was coming to San Diego and I was able to do 3 Kambo sessions in a row, which is called an inoculation. After the Kambo ceremonies, I was grounded, energized, and focused. I was able to move through life with so much less anxiety, nowhere as much depression, and continued to be able to focus on the task at hand. So over the next few months, I continued to work with Kambo because it had given me so much focus and clarity in the past. I reached out to this other practitioner, Adrienne, here in the greater San Diego area, and she served me Kambo. And every intention that I set just happened to me, and I was able to move through my healing process just a little bit easier and a little better. A few months later, she told me that her teacher, Omar, was going to be in the LA area working with this beautiful medicine called Tepesquite. And I said, I'm on board. Additionally, I kept hearing Jen and Adrian saying, oh, my teacher, Omar this, Omar that. And I was like, who the fuck is this Omar guy? I gotta meet him.
Hi, my name is Omar, and my story is quite unique. I started working with plant medicine in the year 2004. Fast forward to about the year 2017, I was sitting in the jungle and I had just finished doing a ceremony, and one of the things that I saw was that this medicine had needs and needed to go out to veterans. So you might ask, why veterans? 22 veterans a day commit suicide, and that's not only heartbreaking and shocking, but that's something that I didn't sit comfortably with. I feel that our society, and I'm not just talking about this country, but all societies, we take veterans, we use them as we want, how we want, when we want, and then we shelf them when they are no longer any use to us. So with my personal experience working with plant medicine and saw what it did for me and how it completely changed my life, I said, well, why can't I be a part of helping people that have sacrificed their lives and their well-being for me? So I bought the domain name and just sat with it and just really believed that when the right person was to appear, that they would appear. And when I met Brian, I had no idea that he was a vet. He was another person that I was serving medicine to. And watching him in this ceremony and then hearing his story afterwards, I said, I finally found the right person to continue or to help me launch this endeavor of helping veterans.
So during that first time meeting Omar during the Tepesquite ceremony, when we continued our conversation, he said, hey, here's a deal. If you help me start Kambo for Vets, I will put you through the Kambo practitioner's course. I said, give me a day or two to think about it. 2 days later, I reached out to him and said, yes, Omar, I'm on board, let's do this. Fast forward a couple months, I ended up attending the Kambo practitioner's course. Now the course was extremely challenging. Omar calls it the hell week of plant medicine. I did as much healing in that week-long Kambo practitioner's course as I did working with ayahuasca and a master plant diet in Peru, 2 ibogaine journeys, including 5-MeO-DMT. I mean, it was just that profound for me. In the jungle, they call Kambo warrior medicine. I thought this warrior medicine would be perfect for other veterans. Guys have this stagnation with their healing. They cannot get motivated to do things. The tribes use this medicine before they go hunting, and it gives them this hyper focus. And I said, hey, how could this help fellow veterans, or really anyone suffering trauma, to get focused on their own healing? As we continue to build Kambo for Vets, we want this community to expand regionally, where we're training other veterans so they can work in their community to help other veterans and, again, civilians that want to tackle their healing head on. And eventually we'll get to the point where we move internationally. Omar already teaches Kambo courses throughout the world and has practitioners everywhere from Portugal to Thailand to Europe, South America, North America.
Kambo is stepping over your fears. It's opening new channels of braveness inside yourself. Braveness, courage, clarity, sharpening your senses and waking up, really waking up